with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book, because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Hey, top of the morning to you, Lisa. You smoothie, me ice cold pizza, cafe ole, latte da. You do the Zumba, but I do not. Give me like half a marathon. I'll give you the gospel of St. John. Hits me like a wake up bomb, cause we both know that his mercy flows in the morning. To a brand new day.
Good morning, North Texas.
Good morning.
And beyond.
Am I on?
You're on.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear yourself okay?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit? Can you hear yourself now?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to make
Was
sure.
it the music?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. All right. Well, good morning. It is a beautiful, brisk Tuesday morning here in Texas. I'm Tiffany Carlin with Brianna Reeves.
Woohoo!
Parkhill. Got to have that Reeves name in there.
Yes.
I have a limp mic this morning. Hello. Stop going limp on me.
I like it limp.
Said no one ever. Said no one ever.
I just like mine in a different position than you.
Okie dokie. It's still going. Stop it. I gotta just reset this mic. Yeah. Unhappy microphones this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to do my thing here this morning. Uncooperative microphones the day after, I was going to say election day, but the day after inauguration, the powers to be have changed hands.
Yes.
God bless America. That's really like the first thing I want to say. I don't want to talk too much about it, to be honest, because I just think it's just from day to day, things are really, really going to change. And you said you didn't watch the inauguration.
No,
I didn't watch. I didn't watch all of it. I watched most of it, and I just found that what I heard was a little frightening.
Yeah.
So
our friends were there and they were supposed to be able to see it in person, and he changed it from outside to inside, right?
Yes.
And they didn't get to see it.
Said it was quote unquote too cold.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly it. But I have several friends that were there too. In fact, one was interviewed on the news because she had a really cool hat on. But I just found him to talk out of both sides of his mouth. You know, during the inaugural speech, he said he wanted to be the president of peace and unity. And then afterwards, when he went out to address all the people in overflow, his followers, he then said, the election was stolen from us in 2020. And he went right back to that.
Oh.
So where in that are you fostering unity and peace? And then, of course, he went on to pardon 1,500 people from January 6th, including people who beat and killed a cop.
Wow.
So I just literally undid the complete justice system, and what does that say to people for the future?
Right.
It's okay to go do what they did on January 6th, and we'll just get away with it, depending on who is the president. So
Yeah.
I saw lots of memes all day yesterday. People who are innocent don't get pardoned, don't need pardons. And so I only responded to one person's, and I said, okay, let's just wait a couple of days when you see who is newly pardoned. And it happened in the same day as the inauguration. So I just think that that's a disgrace to our justice system. I mean, these were people who were prosecuted by their peers,
right?
And frankly, sentenced and judged by judges who were Republicans. I mean, it's not like they were, it was Democrats with pitchforks. It was,
right.
It was justice. So it's just going to be interesting to see how things unfold as we try and take over the Panama Canal, change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Take over Greenland and Canada. These are all things that were really important to the American people. And the most important people that will help get that all done were all there. The entire Trump, family that came in as if to music and trumpets as if they were the king and queen of England. And Bezos was there.
Oh.
Amazon, if people don't know who he is by now. I don't know where you're living. And Zuckerberg's, they were there. And of course, the terrifying Elon Musk, who came out and introduced Trump. You're going to have to go watch the video if you have not seen this. Okay. He comes out to introduce Trump when they go out to address the followers, the overflow.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And he comes out and he's pumped up like he's like a, like a wrestler.
Yeah, but he's on the spectrum, isn't he?
This was not spectrum-like.
Oh.
Spectrum, people on the spectrum are typically a little more shy, I would say. Everybody's different, but this was just weird. It was super weird. And then he saluted the crowd like a Heil Hitler thing. He hit his chest and put his arm out like that.
Oh no.
Like, what are you doing? Do we still live in the United States? I'm just trying to figure out what is going on right now. So, the wealthiest of the wealthiest were all there, including Trump, who made $25 billion overnight when he started his own currency, his own Bitcoin. Did you know that a couple nights ago?
I don't know anything about digital.
And then Melania, she launched her Bitcoin yesterday.
I don't understand it. But that's another rabbit hole we probably don't want to.
It's a rabbit hole, and we're going to have somebody on who's an expert who can come teach us and talk to people about Bitcoin and how you make money, what's the purpose, blah, blah, blah. So if there's any average Americans out there who benefited or also became independently wealthy when the Bitcoin went live, I'd love to know. I'd like to hear from you. So, because again, I don't care who's running for office, but they're typically running for themselves in one way or another. And, and they'll be there. I mean, this is a one term. He's coming in to serve 4 years. He can't run again.
Yeah.
So what is it that you want to accomplish in 4 years that says, well, that's it. I'm coming back in to finish what I didn't finish 4 years ago. But this time he's talking about, like during the whole campaign, he talked about lowering taxes and getting rid of inflation and doing all these things for the American people. And that's nothing of what he talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Except for the only thing I heard about lowering taxes was we're going to put the tariffs on imports and we're going to tax them as it's coming in. But I didn't hear where and how are you lowering the taxes for the people?
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you add tariffs to the imports, that's going to kick up the cost of those products when they hit the market here in the United States, right? They're going to pass that tariff.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? They're going to pass the cost onto the consumer. So I'm just trying to figure out where the savings is going to be, because he's going to cut, as he's already said and campaigned on, he's going to cut taxes for the wealthiest. So I'm just trying to figure.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a wait and see, you know?
It's always just a wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing he was talking about was drill, baby, drill. We are drilling more than we have in years already. We've never stopped drilling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got 8 wells right now. We're waiting to get paid on for the past 6 months. So, I don't know. It's just trying to throw my hands up and go, let's just see what happens, right? I mean, because that's all we can do. I mean, I just seriously, pray that, things change for all Americans for the better. But honestly, I mean, that's up to you. Like, when did that become the responsibility of our government in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, if to flourish.
Well, because of how many of our constitutional laws are built on preventing the government from being in control of our stuff.
And yet we keep giving them control. And we keep empowering them to say, well, my life would be better if the government did this. I would be better financially if the government did this.
Yeah.
Like, when did that happen? It seemed like it started out as like a passive aggressiveness to say, I'm failing at life and my finances are in the shithole, and it's got to be because of our president.
We give him way too much power. The president in general.
Any president.
Yeah. The position.
Isn't that like the perfect way to say it? So we are in the hole as Americans. We are in more credit card debt than we've ever been in history. And I think sometimes people would like to, again, blame that on who's president versus going, okay, we had an inflation spike. I'm going to have to adjust my budget and how I spend my money in order to make it through this haul, right? It's the same thing during the pandemic. If you couldn't go to work, if you weren't deemed necessary, or if you couldn't transition to work from home you had to adjust your spending during that time. I mean, obviously most people did, because there really wasn't a lot of eating out and stuff like that. But, and then obviously, I mean, that affected people, right? So in that realm, we kind of look at situations like that, or let's just take the pandemic out of the way. Let's say you have some sort of illness that you were not expecting, and now you are home and you are on leave or whatever. You have to adjust during that time for it, or if your spouse loses their job, you have to adjust during that time period. When did that become the responsibility of our government? All of those things, when did that become, and when did we become so inhumane? I mean, immediately I started also seeing memes, this whole transgender thing. I mean,
it is such a tough subject.
It is a tough subject
for me to breach.
So, I mean, I'll talk about it because I don't give a shit.
I mean, I do. I don't, but
I think I mean I have multiple perspectives.
Don't make me try to say it now.
I have a few perspectives on it. One, I don't necessarily agree with it. I certainly don't agree with it with children. I don't think.
Don't touch my child.
I don't. Well,
and don't force it on.
Well, hold on. See, that's where my issue is right there. Is that no one's forcing it, but I don't think parents should be jumping in. And this is very few, by the way. These numbers are they're so tiny, because first of all, less than 0.5% of the worldwide population, less than 0.5% is transgender.
Yeah.
Of that 0.5%, only 26% actually have genital operation changes.
Okay. Yeah.
That change operations, whatever. Like I can't get my words right this morning. So 26%. And of that 26%, I don't know exactly what the percentage is on it but most of them are breast augmentations.
Okay.
Most do not go through and change their lower genitalia. It's a horrible, horrible process.
Right.
And one that requires clamping and spreading if you were to go from man to woman.
And it's got to be expensive.
It's daily. It's a multi times a day you have to do this, and for the rest of your life. It's extremely, extremely painful. So that part of it is so minute. But I do know someone who has a child in the family that the parents allowed this kid to go through with it. And it's a really, knowing that she has this painful process to go through for the rest of her life is horrifying for them, really. Right. And then on top of that, the mental and emotional consequences, not just for that child, but for the parents and the rest of the family,
Yeah.
So, and because there was a trickle down effect in it, I know that. And so, I just kind of look at it from a Christian perspective, that in anything that we don't agree with or we don't understand, I mean, the only thing we can do is take it to God.
Yeah.
And because he's ultimately in control. And I think people have become so uber focused on trying to control what they don't understand rather than seeking understanding in someone else's situation that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's things that happen on the daily that irritate people, or you just don't like it, or you want to say it doesn't align with your faith.
Right.
But that's your problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like that's your problem. Not your problem, but
yeah,
that would be my problem. If I had such a painstaking issue that I had to take to social media every day and bitch about transgenderism, that's a you problem.
Right.
And I see it like every day. Like that's the hill you want to die on.
Yeah.
Something that has nothing to do with you and doesn't affect you.
They're angry about themselves.
Yeah.
And something else.
Yeah. Something
it really has nothing to do with.
And so some people will pop on and they'll argue about, well, it leaves women unsafe in locker rooms and stuff like that. Women get raped in locker rooms by men. And they don't dress up.
Yeah.
So
this happens either way.
Where are you going to die on that hill too?
Yeah.
Are you out, picketing to protect women on the regular, or this is just because you think, and again, it's less than 0.5% of the world population is transgender. And that's not just men to women, it's women to men as well.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, if you want to identify as whatever you want to identify as, I mean, if you're an alien and you think you're an alien and you want to call yourself an alien and, you want that on your driver's license, I mean,
yeah,
no. I mean, there's realistic, or you think you're a dog, or, I mean, like whatever. If I don't know what would be wrong with having it on a driver's license that says transgender, woman.
Well, because
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But they want to, that person died in their eyes. So they don't want to say transgender woman, like the person most of the time.
Then why are we saying transgender at all?
We shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to be able to identify by what is in your pants. I mean, I truly believe that, because if you're arrested for, whatever, pulled over for a traffic stop, or you have warrants or whatever, I mean, they have to know, where are we putting you to be safe?
Right.
If you have a penis, we can't put you with women. We just can't.
Yeah.
And vice versa, right? If you have a vagina, you can't go to a male prison.
Right.
You'll most likely be raped. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean,
regular.
there are certain things that you have to be able to identify according to your genitalia.
And testosterone levels in sports.
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean,
yeah, it's such
but
a
we
tough
had,
one.
so it was, so that he put that into an executive order yesterday. you are a man or a woman. There is no transgender. So that was put into an executive order. Like that was the number one priority of the American people.
Yeah.
I mean, we have way bigger problems in this world, in our country, than worrying about how somebody identifies sexually.
Mm-hmm. Not
or
sexually,
genderly.
Yeah.
Genderly. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
issue, right? So I mean, I just want to say prayers for all those people, because whatever you're going through, I mean, on the other side of it, do I think that people who are going through it need some severe, intense counseling?
Yes.
To emotionally, mentally, and physically and hormonally really connect with who you are and how you were born and why you were born this way. I mean, it's a way bigger process.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we've
really should have been more about mental health than specifically trans.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was just let me get out there and address and give the people who my psychotic followers, and I mean psychotic followers by the ones who are just like tunnel vision, like this is like that's the issue, that's the hill you want to die on kind of thing, right? Oh, it says scam likely, so I'm not going to answer it. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I just pissed some people off, but sorry about that. Not sorry, really, because I no longer apologize for my opinion.
Yeah.
So
because everybody has one, and you're allowed to have your own.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I just want to, just pray for those people. Just pray for them. Pray for anybody who's going through any type of identity crisis, which, by the way, you don't have to be going through some sort of transgender, transgenderism type of thing to be in an identity crisis. There are tons of people in identity crisis and they don't know who they are anymore. I was just watching, actually, there's this really awesome, I would call her a TikToker, but I actually watch and follow her on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't do much on TikTok unless somebody shares one to like Facebook, because I really don't know what I'm doing in TikTok.
I don't either.
To be
just
honest.
watch.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes up, I see something, but I don't purposely go in there.
Yeah.
And I'll have to pull her up for the second half, but her whole story is based on, she's home alone. She's got babies, and she like totally went through an identity crisis, which, by the way, a lot of women go through when they have at least their first kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I did. Actually, I didn't until not with my first one, because I was still traveling for my job, but with my second, and because when I was pregnant with Maverick, my entire team, our entire division was laid off.
Oh.
So, and I went from 85% travel, being on the road, traveling 9 states, working with all my sales reps, to home.
Yeah.
That
is
stay-at-home mom. And I was like, I can't do this. Like I was like, I cannot not work.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to take a job that was, I had to go to an office every day. Right. Because I already did the 85% travel. Now I did have an opportunity to be back home with my kids. And I mean, because they were young. I mean, I had Mackenzie when I was traveling. I mean, not when I was literally on the road, but I, that was tough. I was lucky to have 2 months home with her before I had to get back out and travel.
Right.
And so, but all that travel, I mean, I was able to schedule all the stuff myself. So, I mean, there was a lot of benefits. I loved that job. Absolutely loved that job. And so that was really difficult for me to say, all right, let me get back out there without finding the same exact type of thing that I had, because I had so much flexibility in what I did. But, and so you start to, I noticed I was dressing different. Like I looked back at some of the pictures and I go, what the fuck were you doing? I was living in Lubbock, and because I traveled, I didn't really have this in where I was meeting other women, because everybody I knew was either in Fort Worth or amongst the 9 states that I would travel, my counterparts and my business friends, and slowly Todd, I ended up starting to network for Todd's law office, and that's when I started to meet some people. But so there was this period though that I didn't know anybody, and now I'm stay-at-home mom again, and I looked back and I was like, who the hell were you trying to be? Like, who were you trying to meet? Like, and so this mom's still got it.
Mom's still got it.
I think that's what it is. Well, I'll look it up on the break, but yeah, so she's writing all of these things down, and she just posted like all of her notes for when she was still starting this brand, and like, who the F am I? That's like that's what she was trying to figure out. Like, what am I doing? What's next? So yeah, so just kind of go along with that whole identity crisis thing. And it happens to people, men and women, who go through job transitioning too. Yeah. They, get laid off or unexpectedly, or maybe they've been with the company for 30 years and they're like, why am I still here?
Yeah.
So, people go through that. So anyway, so prayers for anybody who's going through any type of identity crisis.
Yeah.
Right?
I
think our president's in one too, by the way. Like, I really think he is in an identity crisis. Am I a king or am I elected president? I don't know. It's hard to tell you. All right. Focus word of the week. Shall we do that before we go to break? This is How One Word a Week Will Transform Your Life. It's by Clear Cherry Reeves. And this week's word is forgiveness. Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense. Proverbs 19:11. And the focus tip is, as you focus on forgiveness this week, search your heart for any past hurts you are still holding on to and let go of them. Lean on God to help you. Also this week, when you feel yourself starting to hold on to feelings of resentment, focus on the word forgiveness. Recite the activating scriptures and don't allow the roadblocks of offense on your driveway. I think that's a really good word for this week.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's a good word for every week, but
big time. But I think for this week, as we enter into this massive like transitioning and we see crazy stuff on social media.
Yeah.
Keep that word in your head and pause.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Speaking of pausing, and we'll be right back here on NTX AM Vibes.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
Welcome back to the second half of NTX AM Vibes here on NTX Radio. If you didn't know yet, NTX Radio is a podcast and radio show collective, proudly serving all of North Texas, and can be heard all over the world on TuneIn Radio and on the NTX Radio app on Android, Apple CarPlay, or you can just ask Alexa, oh, I said it too loud, to play NTX Radio. Check out our lineup and more at ntxradio.com. We thank our valued partners and sponsors in helping us amplify the voices of North Texas. Be sure to connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law, for your civil law needs at texasattorneylaw.com. And if you're processing credit cards, join the Swipe Nation today and save on processing fees at swipenationusa.com. It's locally owned and operated. The holidays are past, but you know what? Valentine's Day is coming up.
It is.
We added our
Yes.
hearts in a little bit of red here, and our Valentine's gnome has landed in the studio. And so if you need to get that special woman something different that you haven't purchased yet, go to thetiffy.com. That's THETIFFIE.com for Tiffy sleeves and scarves. They are made right here in the USA. And when you're ready to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time, be sure to email Tiffany, that would be me, at t.hurd@ntxradio.com for advertising and sponsorship rates.
Yes.
Starting very, very cost effectively.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, we have time slots open. So if you're ready to become the expert in your industry and really amplify your brand or your message, whatever that might be, reach out to me. And let's sit down and have a consultation about starting your own show. We do things differently here.
And it's fun.
It is fun. I mean, so you can be, with us, you can still be just a podcast. So like if you wanted to just pre-record and go to podcast, you can do that. If you want the whole package to where you're live on the radio like we are, this too is also live on, well, like we said, we're live on the TuneIn Radio network. We are live on our dedicated app. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, soon to be several others. And then all of our shows immediately become podcasts as well. So every single show has its own podcast channel on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and 13. It's a total of 13 different podcast platforms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot available to it, and you can reach all different types of audiences all at the same time. So we'd love to hear from you and hear your show ideas. Or if you're interested in being a guest on one of our shows, you can also reach out to me for that too at t.hurd@ntxradio.com. So
yesterday was MLK Day.
Yes.
I just read something.
Okay, sure.
He received a C in public speaking.
Who did?
MLK.
A C in public speaking?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like when he was in high school or?
At his Crozier, however you want to pronounce it, theological seminary.
Okay.
During his first year, he received a C in public speaking.
Interesting.
Then he turned around and became valedictorian in his graduating class.
Well, so do you think that it just kind of like hit him in a way of what? C is not acceptable.
Right.
And then he was like, I'll show you MFers, and went on to become valedictorian and then to give the greatest speech of all time. So there was a pastor. There was a multitude of prayers yesterday. I don't even want to talk about all the prayers, but there was one gentleman and he basically repeated MLK's speech. And I don't know. I thought it was a little, I don't know.
What?
Do your own prayer and speech.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Cause that's, I think you cannot top I Have a Dream. You just can't top it.
And it's not anybody else's. It's only his.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it would have been more of a celebration of him if they had just played it and to hear his voice delivering it as it should have been. So, yeah, but I mean, I'd love to hear how different people. I know the MLK parade in Fort Worth was postponed, or I don't know if they're canceling it altogether, or if they just postponed it because of the cold.
Yeah.
So I know there was a lot of disappointment in that too. But yeah, it's I feel like it kind of got a little washed over because
yeah, inauguration on the same day. Yeah.
So, and did you say you read somewhere that there's some states that
yeah, like Mississippi and Alabama focus more on Robert E. Lee during Martin Luther King. I mean, all 50 states recognize the holiday since 2000.
Okay.
But Mississippi and Alabama focus more on Robert E. Lee.
Really? So do they do some sort of celebration about him, or?
I don't know all the details. It didn't really give much information.
All right, I'm going to let you look for that. And if you're looking for something to celebrate today and you don't have anything to celebrate, there are several things being celebrated today. Okay, are you ready? Well, first of all, hug somebody because it's National Hugging Day.
Oh, it's because his birthday is also... So Martin Luther King's birthday is the 15th.
Yeah.
And Robert E. Lee's birthday is the 29th. And...
So
the 19th, sorry.
They put them in together.
Yeah. And so they call it the Robert E. Lee Day. But it's more... They just combine it with MLK.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so reach out and hug somebody.
Yeah.
Who maybe also shares those birthdays. I don't know. But it is National Hugging Day, so, if you're looking for an excuse to hug someone you've never hugged before.
It's National Hug Day.
Could be creepy. It doesn't have to be creepy because it's National Hugging Day. So you can just go up to them, give them a hug, and say, when they make that face like, oh, what's happening here? You can just say, it's National Hugging Day, duh.
Mm-hmm. Just depends on how long you hold that hug.
And where you put your hands. So hands on the upper back is probably more, preferred.
Probably.
And if you need a different holiday, something to celebrate today, or in addition to the hugging, or you could combine these two together if you wanted to. Are you ready for it? It is Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Oh.
So you could hug a squirrel.
Yeah, let's just try not to run them over today.
Yeah.
But they're the idiots.
Kinda. I mean, why do you stop in the middle of the road and go, what's that?
Yeah. Or they're going across and they decide to go back. Like, just keep going and you be safe.
So, I'm going to read this just because I think it's a little interesting.
Okay.
So in 2001, wildlife rehabilitation specialist Christy Hargrove founded Squirrel Appreciation Day in Asheville, North Carolina. Christy created this day to encourage kind attitudes towards our bushy-tailed neighbors by setting out food and water for squirrels, and even allowing them to play with their bird feeder. That bird feeder you normally don't want them touching. We might generally look at squirrels as being an unnecessary nuisance, but their existence is actually beneficial to the environment, and in urban areas assist in park beautification. Albeit by accident, squirrels plant seeds, initially meaning to store away nuts to come back to when they're hungry, which eventually grow into trees, thus assisting with forest renewal. They're nature's gardeners. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So up until the mid-19th century, squirrels weren't present in American cities. In order to have squirrels in the middle of urban areas, you'd need to transform the landscape by planting trees and building parks. You also needed to change the way people behaved by discouraging them from shooting squirrels and encouraging them to start feeding the animals instead. The first documented introduction occurred in Philadelphia's Franklin Square in 1847. Boston and New Haven followed suit and brought in squirrels a few years later in 1850. The squirrel experiment had ended by the 1860s when many squirrels had either passed or were killed amid concerns that they would disturb birds and lead to insect problems. But releases began again in the 1870s, this time on a larger scale, as expensive parks were built in New York, Boston, and D.C., Chicago, and other major cities, providing a welcomed habitat for squirrels to live and thrive.
Huh. Interesting.
So, there you go.
So they had to be brought in. Where did they come from?
It doesn't say that, but okay, so in 1847, it says human introduction. Squirrels are introduced to parks in small numbers to beautify and add interest. In 1959, Hokey Smokes. Rocket J. Rocky Squirrel, the plucky flying squirrel, is introduced to the Bullwinkle show and lasts 5 years as the best friend and ally of the Western moose Bullwinkle.
Okay. I mean, I remember.
Are you I was going to say.
No, I watched
it.
Uh-huh.
1993, Skippy and Slappy. Aunt and nephew Animaniacs duo Skippy and Slappy Squirrel take over television screens with their own animated segment. I don't remember that. I was out of high school by that
time.
A
little bit, but I don't.
So I don't. Skippy and Slappy. It sounds familiar, but it's nothing I ever watched. And then in 2001, A Day is Squirreled. Christy Hargrove coins National Squirrel Day and says you can make of it what you want as long as it's the name of squirrel positivity. So in the name of squirrel positivity, we can celebrate it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And to all those that squirrel,
yep,
this is your day.
Uh-huh.
So happy Squirrel Day.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
it happens a lot in the studio. It tends to happen more, I think, when there's more than two of us at the table, and the conversations, especially if Diana's with us.
Yeah,
because she can squirrel like nobody ever. Right, Diana?
Or my sister.
Yeah, she would squirrel. Nona too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we all do it.
Well, yeah,
we've all gone down
to some level.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say a rabbit trail, but a squirrel trail, chasing squirrels, and then somebody's got to rope it back in and go, what the hell were we just talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can we get back to the topic that we started with?
What was that?
So I mean, hug a squirrel or not. Mm-hmm. So which is funny. So before I saw what the holidays were for today, I saw a meme yesterday on social media, and it was a squirrel, and he's standing up at the window, somebody's window, and he's going, hey, the birds wanted me to tell you needed to go refill their bird feeder.
Yeah.
And he's standing there like this, like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help the birds.
It is so hard to keep them out of it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you have bird feeders at your house?
No.
Okay, me neither.
My cousins in East Texas, they have one, and they even hold it. It's hanging from like a hook, but it's like a wire so that they don't get any traction to get up there, and they try. It's entertaining.
That I was going to say that could be super entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if you don't know this by now, if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or really anywhere in Texas, it's the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo season.
Yes.
Have you been yet?
No, I go tomorrow to the vendor section.
Okay.
And animals and stuff with my best friend during the day. And then Thursday night we go to the rodeo.
Okay.
My father-in-law, he wants to go every year. So we've gone almost every year since, I don't know for how long. But so yeah, Stock Show and Rodeo.
All right, Stock Show and Rodeo is happening. What do you have what's your favorite part of the Stock Show and Rodeo when it's here? Like, do you have a favorite thing?
I grew up in the rodeo. My brother was a rodeoer and or cowboy or whatever you want to call him. He rode bareback, and so everybody's always fashionably late to stuff. Well, you can't be late to the rodeo or you will miss my brother ride, because he was bareback and was the very first event. And so it's always my favorite. So that's one of the things that I make sure I'm never late for is the rodeo. Plus, I love the national anthem being sang and prayer before every rodeo.
I do have to say something about yesterday. and it was Carrie Underwood. She was there to sing "Oh Beautiful,"
Mm-hmm.
and there was a hiccup with the music, the accompaniment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know if they were playing something or if they were going to play, like if they were playing a pre-recorded accompaniment or what, but it didn't happen. And there was kind of this look around of like for multiple people of, oh shit, what's happening? And she was like, well, I'm just going to sing it.
But she can sing.
Oh yeah. She belted it out.
Yeah.
And she just dove in.
She's not an auto tune that,
No.
she can sing.
Yeah. She belted that out, and it was absolutely, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and then she hightailed her ass out of there. But, yeah, but it was really good. So, I squirreled. Did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, if you want to get tickets, you go to fwssr.com and click on the events tab, and that's how you can pre-purchase tickets. Do you pre-purchase, or you just get them when you get there?
Oh no, we pre-purchase.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, let's see, by the time we are off air, it's Dickie's Day. Let me tell you what that is, because I don't know what that is. Wear Dickie's apparel to receive free grounds admission, courtesy of Williamson Dickey Manufacturing. Special discounts are available with proof of your rodeo ticket. Grounds admissions does not include the rodeo.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll get you into like the vendor area and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So wear your best Dickies.
That's today.
Yeah, that's today.
If they have one tomorrow.
That's a cool. I'll pull it up here in a second.
Yeah.
And so you've already missed the Dairy Cattle Show. It was the Junior Brown Swiss and Jersey. You already missed the horse judging contest, the 4-H FFA and TQHYA. At 9 a.m., it was the Brahman Cattle Show and the reining horse classes, AQHA and NRHA. And at 11 a.m., if you're going to head out, the Braunvay Cattle Show for youth is at 11. And then you have the Braunvay Cattle Show Open is at 12:30. And then the Dairy Cattle Show is Holston Jr. That's at 1. 7:30 tonight is the PBR's Last Cowboy Standing. Those are always cool, right? Mm-hmm. And 9 o'clock, you have Matt Hillier. He's playing at the Courtyard. And then at 9:30 tonight, Chancey Williams is at the Michelob Ultra Roadhouse. So that's all happening tonight.
Cool.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, January 22nd, limited livestock on exhibit.
Okay.
And then you have the cutting horse classes, NCHA, 9 a.m. 4 p.m. is the sip and shop wine tasting. Is that what you're doing tomorrow?
Well,
or are you going during the day?
We were going during the day, but
that's at 4. I say that's daytime.
Yeah.
I might have to go do that. 7:30 is the PBR Last Cowboy Standing. And then 9:30, Race Ricketts is at the Michelob Ultra Roadhouse. And Texas High Road is at the Courtyard. And that's some of our very own. The Texas High Road. We absolutely, I absolutely love them. And they sang backup on my album several years back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they are industry veterans. If you know, they are also best friends since they were teens. And they'll be doing 90s country and a little bit of pop and some top 40. They kind of mix it all together. So
cool deal.
Be sure to go out and support and check out the Texas High Road if you have not heard them yet. 9:30 tomorrow night at the Courtyard out at the Stock Show and Rodeo.
Let's just talk about what those, not just kids, but they go through to get their livestock prepared to show.
Yeah.
You walk through there and they are cleaning all the areas.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want them to go to the bathroom again after you've blow dried their tail end. And they're just, it's entertaining to watch and just in awe of the things that they go through to show livestock.
It's expensive, by the way. Really, really expensive. And so you have organizations like Ladies on the Lamb and all the other ones, these groups that are bidding, you know, on all this stuff, but they do that. So they actually support kids who are raising lambs. Like that's just one organization.
Right.
So, and I'm hoping that we'll have Tatiana on with us to talk more about that here in the coming week. So, because she is a lady, she's a lady on the lam.
Lady on the lamb.
So, but hopefully we'll get to hear more about that in the week to come. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Mhm.
Like how these kids
They
get
look
into
so
it.
clean and beautiful. Like, I mean, I grew up with just cows out in the pasture and donkeys out over here, and they're just always covered in mud or dirt or whatever. And then you walk through the stock show, and they are, I mean, immaculate looking, like a poodle that you show. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it. And they're fluffy fur.
Yeah, I mean, it's how they look, but I mean, all through the year, they are feeding, grooming, having them checked medically,
Mhm.
to make sure everything's, good to go. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's not just getting up at, 5 a.m. to take care of the animals on the farm. This is something that you're gonna, hopefully sell and put you through a semester or maybe 4 of college.
Right.
Yeah. What some of these animals go for is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So have you watched Yellowstone at all?
Uh-huh.
Did you? Okay.
Mhm.
So, I just kind of even think about that show and the showing and the selling of the livestock and in this last season, sorry if I'm going to blow if you haven't watched the end of the entire series, but that conversation that took place in the pickup truck between the animal rights activist chick and Rip. I was like, how do I forget his name? It like blanked there for a second. But that conversation where she was like, well, this is going to be all moot in a few years. There's not going to be any, cattle and blah, blah, blah. And, or as many, and there's not going to be as many ranches. And, man, I hope that's not true.
Yeah.
I really, really do. But there was something that Rip said. He goes, we're going to adjust as that changes, just like the John Deere tractor. It started out as it was a buggy. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It was a buggy or it was wagons.
Yeah.
They started out making and selling wagons. And when the car was introduced, they were like, okay, our wagons aren't going to be needed very long. Right. Like, so they adjusted and they created the John Deere tractor. The first tractors. And so
I like that word adjusted versus, I don't know, some of the others we use, and because you're adjusting to what's happening versus like evolution or evolve.
Right.
I like that word.
Yeah, adjusted. Well, isn't that what people did during the pandemic?
Yeah.
When you look at restaurants or you look at other businesses, when we look back to the fact that we were still on air during all of that, and we were able to adjust ourselves and bring on, we launched the Biz Buzz show and brought on all these small business owners who weren't able to go work out of their shops and sell. And they had to adjust too for that, which is something that I think the American people are so good at doing, is adjusting, or just people in general, because we've seen it happen in other countries too, right?
Yeah.
Where you had to adjust and figure out, okay, I can't do business as I was normally doing it. So how can I adjust? And so the restaurants went to doing curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Right. Anything they could do to stay in business, keep some people employed, keep things moving and work through it.
Right.
And so some of those small business owners, I look at one of my friends who had a woodworking business, and she would have these classes and people would come in and it would be a group of, 10 to 20 and they would come in and they had already pre-picked their woodworking templates that they were going to do, whether it's painting and the things that they made from them. And they would bring wine and charcuterie boards or whatever. Right. And that business went to, I can't have anybody in my store. And so she adjusted so brilliantly. So she started packaging all these pieces. Like if you came in and you were going to make this wood buddy thing for your front door
So
for
like the
Easter.
adult version of the little kid packets at Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly. So she put together these big, some of them were big, like the welcome door signs, so anything that you could have come in and sat down in a group session and made, she adjusted and packaged them individually, was selling them online, and people could either come in porch pickup, or she was, depending on what size thing it was. Like if it was one of those big welcome signs or these wagons, like she did all kinds of crazy, awesome shit.
Yeah.
And then the smaller ones she would ship out. So, I mean, I just look at her and how she adjusted through all of that along with restaurants and then you think back to John Deere and how they transitioned from making wagons to, okay, oh shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
They're not going to need wagons much longer. That the car is out. And they were like, wait a minute. They still need something to go out and plow the fields and stuff. And boom, here came the tractor.
Yeah.
So I just, I kind of look at, I mean, that's how we all have to be in our businesses. And so, I mean, even here at the radio station, I'm doing some adjustments and, that I'm, really excited about. So yeah, I mean, you got to adjust for the times. So, just remember that as we're heading into this new, I don't want to say political season, because it's not that. It's government season. It's whatever. It's whatever you want it to, how important you want to make it in your life, first of all. I think that's like really number one, like, just be prepared to adjust for it, and we'll get through this together.
Yeah.
All right. Tomorrow morning, Bri's going to be back. I won't.
Kim,
Bri and Kim.
Yep.
Petty Murphy is going to be on here. And of course, Adam, our favorite coach, is be on in the second half. Have an amazing day. God bless and be kind.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County. JoCo.
Too many drugs. Listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost